Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the ADF Foods Limited Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Rishabh Das from Pareto Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rishabh Das from Pareto Capital. We represent investor relations for ADF Foods. On behalf of ADF Foods, I welcome you all to our Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. I have with me from the management, Mr. Bimal Thakkar, Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Shardul Doshi, CFO, and Mr. Devang Gandhi, COO. We will have brief opening remarks from the management, followed by the Q&A session. Please note that certain statements made during this call may be forward-looking in nature. Such forward-looking statements are subject to certain risks and uncertainties that could cause our actual results or projections to differ materially from these statements. ADF Foods Limited will not be in any way responsible for any action taken based on such statements and undertakes no obligation to publicly update these forward-looking statements to reflect subsequent events or circumstances. I will now hand over the call to Mr. Thakkar for his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rishabh. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to our Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. I hope all of you and your families are keeping safe and healthy. I'm extremely proud of the performance our team has delivered despite a challenging year, with the highest ever recorded revenues in our company's history of rupees 370 crores in FY21, a growth of nearly 30% from last year. Our focus continues to be on profitable growth, which is reflected in our robust profitability margins and strong cash flows. Our growth this year was driven by numerous factors. We continue to brace our brands and product portfolio across categories and geographies throughout the year. During the year, we have witnessed increasing demand across all our product categories as global lockdown restrictions and stay-at-home orders have pushed consumers to be self-reliant and prefer convenient and healthy ready-to-eat foods. Product development and innovation is the cornerstone of our business. In line with this, during the year, we launched several product variants in our frozen snacks and vegetable categories and our ambient range products as well. In my communication with investors over the last 1 year, I had stated that our growth strategy is based on a three-pronged approach: increasing capacities, strengthening our distribution network, and growing our agency business. I would like to emphasize on the progress we have each of these during the year. In terms of increasing capacities, we've started the commercial production in our leased facility at Surat towards the end of Q4. With a capacity of around 1,950 metric tons, this would enable us to cater to the near-term demand. In addition to this, and to drive our growth to the next level, I am pleased to announce that we have initiated a greenfield expansion. We have acquired a land parcel of around 7 acres in South Gujarat. We plan to increase capacities for ready-to-eat, frozen food, and condiment categories, with the potential to add around 9,000 metric tons of overall capacity. This first phase expansion is estimated at a capex outlay of around 60 crores, and we expect to complete this capex and start production by FY24, beginning of FY24. On strengthening our distribution network front, we have recently taken 66,000 square feet of warehouse space on lease in the US as a distribution center for the company to ensure uninterrupted product supply. We have also continued to make major inroads with supermarket chains during the year with additional listing of our product lines in Canadian and US stores. Lastly, on our agency business, we are seeing steady offtake of this segment in the US and UK markets. We've recently added additional products for distribution, thereby enhancing our product basket. We have a strong balance sheet with a cash-rich position at 81.3 crores. Going forward, we will continue to invest this judiciously to create superior returns to our shareholders. We will continue to focus on product innovations to cater to the evolving consumer tastes and preferences. Our sales and distribution network with an unrivaled global presence remains a key competitive advantage, and we will continue to further strengthen that. We are excited to embark on the journey ahead, filled with growth and opportunities. This is all from my side for the moment. I will now hand over the call to Shardul for the financial update. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad to be part of ADF's growth story and team which is making this happen. Let me brief you on the financial highlights for the quarter and year. In Q4 FY21, our total revenue stood at rupees 104 crores, a growth of 22% compared to the same quarter last year. Our standalone business, which comprises exports and some domestic business, registered a revenue of rupees 72 crores, up 30% Y-on-Y. Our US business, comprising PJs and net brands, reported revenue of 14 crores, and agency distribution business has given us a revenue of almost 18 crores. EBITDA for the quarter stood at rupees 22 crores as compared to rupees 19 crores in Q4 of last financial year, a growth of 13% YOY, with EBITDA margin of 21%, and PAT for the quarter is 15 crores with a margin of 14%. Let me now touch upon the annual performance. Total revenue in FY21 stood at rupees 375 crores, a growth of 27% YOY. And EBITDA stood at 74 crores as compared to 62 crores in FY20. Again, a growth of 18%. And EBITDA margin is almost 20%. PAT stood at 50 crores, growth of 17% with a PAT margin of 13%. Our standalone business reported revenues of rupees 241 crores, up 18%. And our US business remained flat at rupees 57 crores. With our first full year of operations, our agency distribution business reported 76 crores of top line compared to 32 crores in the last financial. Just for records, based on certain clarifications provided by government about MEIS, we have now booked the MEIS income of 5 crore in this year. And the scheme is discontinued from 1st of Jan, which will be replaced with RODTEP, RoDTEP, and PLI schemes. The details of RoDTEP are awaited, but we are reviewing the applicability of PLI, for which the government has given the guidelines in the last 15 days. We continue to maintain a robust balance sheet with zero total debt, having repaid all our short-term debt as well as there is no long-term debt on our books. And cash and cash equivalents stood at rupees 81 crores as of March 31st. This is all from my side. We can now open the floor for question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Preetham from wealthywire.com. Please go ahead.
So my question is regarding the new 9840 metric ton capacity that will be adding. So the mode of financing is internal accruals plus term loan. So what will be the split between the two? And for the term loan, what would be the interest rates and all?
Shardul, I'm going to let you take that.
Right. So I think right now we have not really worked on the debt equity, but generally some rules will be 2:1, 2 debt and 1 equity. And we will. I think that was the question, right? Anything else you had?
Okay. So another question is like once we so total 76% is what is the achievable capacity. So let's say by FY24 we are saying that this capex would be completed. Say in FY24 we reach to kind of a 75% utilization, which is optimum utilization, let's say. So currently around 15,000 is getting utilized. So can we say that of a total capacity around 28,000 kind of a utilization is possible by end of FY24?
Yes, I think we should be close to that. Devang, do you want to add anything on this?
Yes, I just wanted to add. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to add that as time goes by for our older plants, there is a challenge on infrastructure and all. So we would look to add to ramp up capacity in the newer plants.
Okay.
So yes, this should be achievable. Thanks.
Okay. Which is in line with our close to the target of around 550 crores or 600 crores by 2.5 or 3 years revenue, the targets.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a great set of numbers. So my first question is that what kind of capacity utilization would we be running at currently in our Indian facilities?
So we are currently at a little over 80% of the actual usable capacity.
And what's the optimum utilization level that you can achieve?
Can I take that, Bima?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Devang.
Yeah. So that is the optimum achievable capacity. You see what happens is with capacity, these are the older plants, so there is a drop in efficiency. So even if you increase the capacity, we would have other challenges in form of utilities, cooling utilities, etc. So this would be the achievable optimum capacity available. We will achieve more than around 80% of the capacity.
Okay, so we are in a sense we are running around 90-95% of what we can achieve.
Yes.
Okay, so
that would be a fair statement to make.
Yeah.
So then we got the new lease facility adds another 2,000 tons.
Correct. So then my question is, since we have just laid out our capex plans and that would only come alive in FY24, and with this new lease facility that we have, I remember in the press release and in the phone call that we had mentioned we can do about 25-30 crores annually from that lease facility. This based on the standalone numbers, which is around 240 odd crores right now. Where do you see the business going in the next 2 years?
So with the current capacities we have and with some modernization to the existing facilities as well, in 2 years, I think we should be able to get to about a 350 crore, 300 to 325 crore level in 2 years.
From the existing plants and including the lease facility, you're saying?
That's correct.
So it would be fair to assume that most of the growth that we expect to come in the next couple of years would be from our agency business and our business in the US, the brands that we have in the US.
Yes, and plus the core business as well, right? Even this will grow for us, correct?
Correct, but agency business has been going at a very high rate for quite some time now.
Well,
So the way it will happen.
Yeah, go ahead, Shardul. Sorry.
Yeah, so the way it is going to happen is, see, there are 2-3 strategies in place. One is the existing plant also we are doing debottleneck expand, a capex there, which will give us some incremental capacity, and of course there is some spare capacity there. The new lease plant also will add some capacity, which will give us incremental revenue. And there is always third-party mode available, in terms of meeting the demand for our products. So that will also be there for us to increase the production at a very small notice. So considering this, the growth which Bimal mentioned in terms of revenue of 350 crores, that's something which we can do it from the core business in next few years. And of course, till then, our new plant will also be up and running.
All right. And so my final question would be that in our agency business, there's a lot of margin volatility, and I think we asked the same question in the last conference as well, and you had told us about some issues with inventory and everything. So what led to the fall in margins this time, and what kind of margins can we do on a yearly basis in the agency business?
So just to give you some sense there, the margin which you have seen a drop in the last quarter is because of the higher inventory levels and the carrying cost for it. However, if you look at the yearly numbers and EBITDA which you have generated, I think 12% EBITDA, 10 to 12% EBITDA is definitely sustainable in an agency distribution business.
All right. That's it from my side. I'll come back in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aryan Goel from Goel Enterprises. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I would like to ask, what is the company expenditure on research and development? Also, as we see that our company has developed 8 new products this year under Ashoka brand. So what are the company views on expanding products for other brands also?
So, we are constantly adding new products, and this year also we have plans of adding more products under the Nate's, PJ's, Camel, apart from the Ashoka brand, and also the Truly Indian brand. So we will be adding some more products under that. We intend to launch a new brand which will have meat products, Indian meat products, which will be manufactured in facilities in the US and UK. So it will be Indian cuisine with some protein in it. So those will be manufactured in the UK and in the US for both these markets. So we will be spending, adding on a lot more products in this year.
So, sir, what is the company expenditure on research and development this year?
We don't really capture all this into R&D kind of this thing. It's booked in our normal expenses. But Shardul, do we have any kind of?
Yeah, it will be around 40-50 lakhs rupees which you would have spent.
Yeah. So from last year, 2 lakhs, it has now increased to 50 lakhs this year.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, even last year, not all the expenses would have been taken under the R&D head. I think from that point, yeah.
Okay. Also, is there any automations in the manufacturing unit this year?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
There is. Yes.
What kind of?
The modernization of the existing facilities will have automation as well in it.
Okay. And one more question. Can I get to know the percentage of income which various brands contribute to our company, like Ashoka, Truly Indian, Souls, PJ Nates? What is their percentage of income?
So, we don't normally reveal the percentages just for confidential reasons. But Ashoka is our flagship brand and continues to remain our flagship brand.
Okay. So how much percentage does our company capture of Indian ethnic food markets in US?
So, as I mentioned in my earlier calls also, we currently, majority of our business comes from the ethnic Indian stores, okay? The ethnic Indian stores are not tracked, the sales are not tracked by IRI or Nielsen's or any of these agencies. It's the supermarket business which is normally tracked, and the data on the size is available only of that kind. But I can tell you one thing is that most of the retail stores, ethnic Indian retail stores where we, in the markets we are in, have a strong presence of our brand. And I would say we would be in the top 3 brands across most of our markets. In some markets we would be number 1, some 2, and in some 3. So we would be in the top 3 brands across various markets. And now we intend to grow our business within the supermarket, which is an ongoing process.
Okay, so what is the expenditure on sales and marketing in the US? Or in general, if you have the data?
Yeah, Shardul, what is
our company is around 5 to 6% of the sales are budgeted towards sales and marketing.
Okay, and what are your further plans for marketing the Ashoka brand in country, the US?
So again, we are there on all platforms. So where we spend our money is on media. So we are there in all the ethnic channels. We are there on social media. We do a lot of product tastings. So a lot of sampling activities and demos goes on. We advertise on radio as well. So we have a full 360-degree approach on marketing.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next question is from the line of Anupam Agarwal from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good afternoon. First of all, hope everyone is safe and sound at your end. So first question is the fall in gross margins for the quarter from 50% last year to 45%. I understand the margin hit has also come in from the agency distribution margin. So could you quantify how much of impact is because of the inventory loss in that business, and how much is the drop in the base business?
Can you just repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah. So we've seen a drop of 500 basis points in the gross margin for the quarter. Can you quantify how much of that impact is because of the agency distribution impact, and how much is the drop in the base business?
So our core business, there is no drop as such, which is in the gross margin level. When you look at the overall margin profile, the gross margin, especially when you're looking at the gross margin, the agency distribution, I'll just give you the number. Almost 73 crores has come from holdings, on which our gross margin will be around, in the range of
15%, I would think, right?
Around 17-18%. While for rest of the businesses, they are all in the range of our US business has a 35 to 40% gross margin, while our core business will have around 50% margin. So when we look at now, when we are comparing with the last financial year, agency distribution business top line was around in 34, 35 crores, while it is 73 crores now. And hence, you will see a drop actually. But when you look at the EBITDA margin, you will see that we have sustained because EBITDA is quite robust as such in all the 3 businesses.
Fair enough. So second question is on the balance sheet. Although if I just look at the numbers for the last 2 years, we've grown our top line from 240 crores to 370 crores. On the other hand, our inventory levels have more than doubled from 35 crores to now this year we've done about 73 crores. So is there some sort of inventory that is lying in our warehouse which is unsold and is because of some challenges we've not been able to sell them?
So, we are holding a lot of inventory in the US on the agency business front, and even on our the Mexican and meatless products business. The reason why that inventory is because there were some delays in shipments in the Q3 of last year, which resulted in that inventory lying out in Q4. Q4 is the beginning of the year. Normally, Jan and Feb sees a slight slowdown in these products, and all these products which were supposed to, the agency business, for example, which was supposed to come in before Diwali, that got delayed and got to us only in December. So there's a carry forward stock because of that. Otherwise, the inventory levels are anywhere between, at least for these businesses, not more than 2.5 months or 3 months at max.
Understood. So 90 days is basically the limit in this.
There have been challenges in the supply chain, as you would know, last year. I mean,
Yes.
both from production point and also from getting containers, getting ships. So it has been a challenging year. So that's the reason why Unilever's shipments didn't make it on time, which ended up in us holding higher inventory for them, for their products. And the same thing with our ADF USA also. There were some challenges in getting some products from the factories locally.
Right. So how are these challenges? Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add, in Indian business also, if you remember, towards the end of March, we had that Suez Canal issue, which was there. And the shipment practically, I think there was a lot of containers which we could not dispatch, and the goods were ready at the factory. And hence you will see inventory build-up which has happened towards the end. It's not really significant as such, but whatever increase you are seeing, it's all these are all good inventory, finished goods products which have been moved in the next subsequent months.
Right. Understood. So other question is on the base business. For the last 3 quarters, we've seen 75, 80, 85 crores top line on a quarterly basis. Given the new capacity that has come in, what can be the number? I mean, how should we look at this number on a quarterly run rate or a full year number if we have to look at? Can we do 100, 110 crore top line in a quarter in FY22 from this business?
For which business? I didn't get that. For the core business?
Yes, core business, processed food business.
So, at the moment, the new leased facility has just kicked in, right? Production has just started from end of March, first week April kind of. So we hope to utilize this capacity at least to 75%, if not more, in this year. So you'll at least see another 25 odd crores coming in from the new facility, and then our existing facility also we are already at about an 80-85% capacity utilization, but we are doing some modernization on that. So I would say safely we could look at another 50 crores at least coming off our core business for this year.
Understood.
To what we already have.
Right. Understood.
So
again,
I would
yeah. So an extension on the agency business, we've done 75 crores. That is what you had guided also initially, that we'll do about $10-12 million. How should we look at this business, given the fact that Unilever is ramping up and they're introducing newer products with you? Also, we've been in interaction with a new client, which we would like to add. I mean, we've been in negotiation with them. How is that panning out?
So we are adding on new products from their stable, from the Unilever stable, and some of these products will take time to introduce, but we should look at least a couple of $2 million more coming of these new products in this year, adding to the top line in this year. And the discussions with the other clients is still ongoing. We've not yet finalized anything. Hope to do something by in the next 2 months or so.
Right. Understood. So we were also in consideration for doing some kind of acquisition of our channel partners. Can you just throw some light there?
Well, it is hopefully, it's ongoing. I think we are at the last leg, if you like. So I hope we have some news for you all very soon on that.
Perfect. Last is clarification from Shadil. So you mentioned about 5 crores impact of MEIS?
Yes.
Okay. So 5 crores is what we've booked, or 5 crores is something that we've lost because of the change in MEIS?
No, 5 crores is what we have booked in this financial year.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jignesh Desai, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, Bimal sir, for a good set of Q4 numbers. Sir, I am an individual investor from Baroda. I have a very simple question. What would be the new growth avenues from here on, except capacity utilization, in short to medium term? I mean, will there be any new verticals be added, like agency distribution business, to boost? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. So as Jignesh, as we mentioned, we are looking at certain other agencies which are synergistic and complementary to what we are doing. We are in discussions on that front, so hopefully we add at least one more this year. And we've just added the capacity of this new facility as well, the leased facility. That will also help in growing our business.
No, sir, I am
modernizing of our
the growth options except capacity enhancement. That is my question, sir.
Okay, so here we are. We'll be in the US business. We'll be adding more products. As I mentioned, we'll be launching a new brand in US and UK, which will have Indian meat products. So that will be another addition to our business, from overseas. Another agency also could be added on. So these would be the areas for growth.
Okay, sir. One last question. Now the lockdowns are used in major geographic like US and UK. Will it impact the revenues that it will be in turn a negative for a company like ours?
Well, not really, So, we are still seeing that the demand is still strong. We are not seeing any drop in demand. And what has happened is, in the last year, a lot of our business, which was being done within the restaurant or the food service side, that has now started showing a growth as well. So we are not seeing any drop in demand even after opening up.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tushar Khurana, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thank you for taking my question. My first question is on the agency business that we have. So, how big is this opportunity that we are seeing in the coming years, and how much percentage of our total revenue could it be in the coming years that we are setting a target of?
So, the agency business is, again, the only rationale and reason for us is that it's complementary, it's synergistic to what we do. We will look at adding on more agencies, but in terms of how much will it contribute, it'll be under 25% for our company. Our focus will always be to grow our brands, grow our core business, but the agency business will also grow along with it. So it'll be anywhere between 20 to 25%.
Okay, and then so my second question is on the warehouse that we have taken on lease in US. So could we have more such leases in future as well to expand our business in other parts of the world?
Yes. So in our core markets, we will be adopting this strategy. So in the US, our goal is in the next 2 years, we should add on another 3 warehouses. Okay. And hopefully by next year, we will add on 1 warehouse in the UK at least.
Okay, great. And then, sir, my last question is on is there any vision of the company that we are setting for the next 5 years where our top line revenue would be?
Well, our endeavor is to double up in size from what we are currently. In the next 3 years, we would like to see ourselves at least in the 600 crore top line.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Ravi Naredi from Naredi Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, thank you very much for your nice result and everything, and company is running. Last year, other income was 6.72 crore, while same is 42 lakh. So please tell the reason. And I joined the late, so if you already tell, sorry for that.
No, Shardul, please respond.
Other income in the last financial year had a major foreign currency gain as a component, and this year we don't have that. I think that's the main reason why other income is down from the last financial year.
Any incentive from the government for export is down, so any impact of that?
So, the MEIS scheme which was there from the government, that's been discontinued from 31st of December 2020. Government is expected to announce a road step, which is the remission of duties and taxes which companies are paying. That scheme, they have not come up with the guidelines, but that they have already said that it will be applicable from 1st of Jan of the current year. So we are waiting for the guidelines from the government on that. Secondly, of course, they have also announced PLI, Production Linked Incentive Schemes. There are 3 categories, out of which we are now reviewing the guidelines, and we feel that we should be in a position to apply under the two of the 3 guidelines which government has given.
Right.
But right now we are not expecting anything. Right now we are not really contemplating anything or projecting anything there. But we will give our full effort to apply and get this incentives from the government.
Definitely. And sir, whatever capex target we have made for 18 months, 50 crore rupees for new unit, how much turnover we will get when the unit will start?
So we are normally, when we look at least 3 times of the investment we make. So once this capex of 60 crores is done, a year or 2, we would hope that it will be at about 170 to 180 crores.
Okay. All the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up question from the line of Preetham from wealthywire.com. Please go ahead.
So about the online promotions, the Facebook or Instagram pages. So what is the current spend in USA, and if we can increase the spend in future, because there will be a lot of traction if we add short videos showing recipe preparation using Ashoka. It would be really nice. The page is nice, but promotion probably needs more.
Yes, and you are absolutely right. We are going to increase our spends. In fact, this year you will see a lot more activity on social media from us. So we will be doing that. We at least this year between US and UK, we intend to spend maybe 1 crore of rupees on the social media account.
Okay, great. Sir, and also about the Amazon and online selling. So how much percentage right now it contributes, or at least how is the growth that is coming from the online, especially in these kind of circumstances?
So, you know what, we are not directly selling into Amazon ourselves. It goes via our distributors. Currently, the markets where our distributors are making a very concerted effort and having a separate vertical. Germany is one of those markets where it's still very insignificant part of our main business, but it's building up traction. And now we are in the process of finalizing a company who specializes in this online sales in the US, and hope to at least in the next 12 to 18 months try and have that business at least come up to $1 million in revenue.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tamay Patel from India Fund Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, a couple of questions. One, so what is the contribution of your contract manufacturing business to the overall sales?
So we have 70% of our business is our own brands. Okay. Are you talking about contract manufacturing where we give out for our entire US business, which is there of Nates and PJs, is all contract manufactured, 100%
No,
of it.
so what I meant is you giving out your products to other brands?
We packing for other brands, you mean?
Yeah.
So we have a B2B business, which is done in bulk packing and sold to customers. Okay. And then there is the private label business, as we call it, which is where we pack for other companies in their brand. Both these businesses for us in overall is less than 30%. More than 70% is our own brand.
Right. And will this mix remain the same going forward, or do you expect it to subsequently going down?
So I mean, it has been going down over the last few years. Earlier the mix was 60-40. It's come down from 60-40. Now it's come down to 70-30. Our focus and endeavor is always to push and promote our brands, but we also would like to selectively look at good companies and work with them for co-packing as well. But I would think it will 70-30 or 75-25 is the kind of levels we look at over the next 2-3 years.
Sure. And the second question is with respect to your phase 2 capacity expansion, which you mentioned in your call with CNBC, I suppose. So you mentioned that you will be doing a 30 crore capex, and that will lead to a 150 crore turnover. Is that right? What I heard?
Yes, it is, because I'll let Devang answer that. Devang, please go ahead.
So what we have planned to do is that we've broken it up into 2 phases, where in the first phase we'll do the capacity, we'll put up the capacity, but we'll put up all the utilities and everything for 2 phases together. So then the second investment will be little lower, but we'll be able to put in much more volume.
Sure.
So basically the infrastructure for the expansion will happen in the first phase, the building, other utilities. Then we will add the equipments and all later on. So from that point, that's why it's less investment in phase 2.
Sure. So typically a 90 crore investment in all, and we can expect more than 350 crores of turnover. Is that the right way to look at it?
Yes.
Well, at least roughly 3x would be the minimum we would look at. So 270 to 300 odd crores would be a fair assumption.
Sure. And this would come up over the next 3 years, if I have to look at it.
It would come up.
3 to 4 years. Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
both
right.
the full phase 1 and phase 2 both put together will be 3.5 years or so.
Right. And just one clarification. I think in the last quarter or probably somewhere you had mentioned, that there's a 25 crore capex, which you have embarked on. So this is separate of that 60 crores?
Yeah, that's for the existing plants, modernization of the existing plants.
Okay. Got it. Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Modani, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Well, congratulations, sir, on a great set of numbers. So I wanted to know, as you mentioned in the call, the restaurant business is being hampered from your end. So what revenues are we losing in per quarter revenues? Like per quarter, what revenues is being lost if the restaurants and those were closed in the past few months?
So it is the first 3 quarters where I would say at least about 1.5 million to 2 million per quarter must have come down because of this $1.5 million. So the 3 quarters you would look at anywhere between $4.5 million would have gone down.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. And secondly, second question, as you said, you are spending on modernization of your capacity. So should we look at improving margins in those after you spend at modernization?
Well, we will, of course, that would be the endeavor to try and improve margins, but the idea is to just get more capacity as well, right, to increase more production.
Okay, and my last question is on the capex with 60 crores you are planning. You have mentioned in the report that you are planning to internal accruals and debt. So is that planned, how much debt are you take on the books for the 60 crores?
No, that's not been finalized. I mean, as Shardul mentioned earlier, that we still have to figure out. I mean, the company can fund it fully through internal accruals as well, but we will be taking on some debt, so we haven't finalized that as yet.
Oh, thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Rathi from Lucky Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, congratulations. Good set of numbers for the full year. I wanted to check with you on a few things, if I may. One is on the India business. What is the kind of stance or strategy we have going forward? Are we looking to ramp this business up materially? What kind of investments are we looking here? Any strategic ties, partnerships? Your view on this?
So, as I mentioned earlier on today, this year we will have some presence in India through our plan is to do it in 3 phases. The first phase is we first start with e-commerce. Okay, so look at all the online sales. That's what we will start with. Then get into modern trade and then general trade. So over the next 3 years, I think I would like to see our India business at anywhere between 10 to 15% of our overall sales. That is what the goal is. We are evaluating strategic tie-ups or distribution tie-ups in India, but currently our plan would be to start off with the online. So we hope to do that we hope to start that from second quarter. It will not be resulting in significant sales to begin with, but it will build up, and over the next 3 years, we would like to see that 10 to 15%.
So the 10 to 15% would approximately be around 100 crore number, considering the sort of vision you're giving at the company level. So what kind of investment will that entail, both in terms of capex and in terms of the marketing promotion thing?
So as far as the in terms of here, because it will be a new brand getting in, we would be looking at a higher investment. So we should look at least anywhere between around a 15% expense on marketing and sales.
So you're saying a 15 crore kind of a run rate 3 years out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And as far as the expenditure on capex, I think with what capex we've planned, we should be able to manage from that. Or if at all, there'll be very minimal investments on capex.
Okay. Got it. And any plans? So now this is done separately. If you have any plans on entering the namkeens business for US?
No. I mean, we like the category. We are not in that space, but we don't want to get into the traditional namkeens. We are looking at healthier options in the namkeen space. So yeah, that is a category which we are looking at for sure.
Any timeline? This year we'll be able to see some.
I would hope. We would hope within the next 12 months, I think we should have something in that category. Some products at least launched it.
Okay. And any other new geographies that we are planning when you say the next 2-3 years? Which geographies are we looking at other than the existing geographies which we are in?
So with Brexit happening, a lot of goods used to go from UK into the smaller European markets. With Brexit coming in place now, what has happened is a lot of these smaller markets which used to buy from UK have now started approaching us directly for direct imports. So we will see a few of these new markets opening up for us. But again, the major growth will come in markets, which will be North America, UK, Germany, the Middle East, and Australia and New Zealand. In these markets is where we look at more penetration, more depth, and with our distribution centers opening up, that will help us further strengthen our network and increase our presence in the stores.
So Africa is not an interesting market. I thought Tasty Bites is a big player there, right?
Which market?
Africa.
No, I don't think Tasty Bites' main markets are America and Australia to some extent, and Canada and the UK. No, Africa is not a big market.
Understood. And Shardul sir, on the hedging policy, we are maintaining the same 6 month receivable, 50 to 75% hedging. Is that the same?
Yes. There's no change.
No change to that. And sir, your second generation, so your children are, which areas they are looking at, which geographies or which division of the business?
So, they are both still learning all different aspects of the business, but the plan is for one of them to look after the US and one to look after UK and Europe continent. That's what the plan would be. I mean,
so now they are,
we'll see as it evolves, right? Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get you. Sorry.
I said we'll see how it evolves, but that is the plan right now. Currently, they are still undergoing training in various aspects of the business.
Understood. Last question: how much is the frozen food business out of the 370 crores this year?
So the frozen food business would probably account for about 40%, because keep in mind, or a little over 40, because our entire meatless products and the PJ's products are all frozen, right? So I would say on a consolidated basis, it would account for about 40%.
All right. All the best to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Agrawal from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
So just one question from my end. You had mentioned to one of the participants that, still 30% of our business would be non-branded, where we have B2B business. One, are we, consciously trying to bring that down? And two, will margins increase as an outcome?
So as I mentioned, if you saw it about 3 years ago, this business, the mix was 60-40. Over these 2-3 years, it has come down to 70-30. We would like to see it at 70-30 or 75-25. The focus will always be on our own brands, but we will be still looking at adding on more customers, selective more customers, for private label business as well. This business is still done at decent gross margins for us because it entails recipes. That's why we are very selective on the companies we do private label business for. So we do it for large multinationals or big retailers, for those kind of customers.
So it would be fair to assume that we make similar kind of money in both the businesses then?
Well, no, not similar, but it's not like a commodity business where you make a few points. No, I would say our average gross margins would be about 30-35% at least in these businesses.
But then, sir, if you are witnessing such strong demand in the US, and we can already see, US is, especially the frozen food market and the Indian market there, is growing very robustly. Why not focus on our own brand rather than, trying to bring in other customers in this B2B segment?
No, so, we are bringing customers in places wherever we feel we have capacities available. Only the ones where we don't have capacity available, we are not bringing in customers on that front.
All right. That's it from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anupam Agarwal from Lucky Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So last question from my end. Basically, if I just see your cash flow, so we do about 45-50 crores of operating cash flow every year. And like you said in the opening remarks, we have about healthy 80-85 crores of cash balance in the balance sheet. And also, sir, with the warrant money that we, I believe 25% of has already come in, and the balance 75% is due over the next 13-14 months. Why are we still considering for a debt for the capex that we envisage? I mean, we have enough cash balances and still, and the capex requirement is not that large anyway. So why the debt consideration?
I'm going to let Shardul answer that for you.
Yes, so Anupam, the way it functions is there are certain government incentives which we receive when we do the expansion in the food and processing industry. And the only way it comes to you is if you, basically the monitoring agencies are the bank. So we will do the minimal borrowing there. It's not that, okay, we will do a high borrowing, but whatever is minimum required to become eligible for those grants, we will go for that.
Okay. So the 18 crores that we've received from warrant money, has that gone towards repaying the short-term loans that we had last year?
No, warrant money is for capex. Short-term money has been paid through the operating income.
Operating income. Okay. Understood, sir. So any timelines by when the balance 95% is due?
It's 18 months from November 1st, November 2nd, when the allotment happens. So it will come before April of next year.
H1 of next year. Understood. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take the last question from the line of Sharaj Singh, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, just one question. Regarding this labeling business that the company does, are there some
Mr. Singh, sorry to interrupt you. The audio is very low, sir. Please increase the volume of your device.
Is it better now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So regarding the labeling business that the company does in B2B segment, are there some synergies that arise to the core business of the company, since the company targets to keep it at 30% and not grow the core business? Like, how does this work exactly?
So it gives us more economies of scale, right? You're sweating your assets, your factory assets more, your buying is better. They are all synergies. So that is the reason why we are looking at continuing this business.
Right. No, so what I'm asking is, since we are seeing there is enough demand for the company to expand its existing product, why are you looking at taking on this labeling business? Is just the capacity utilization part, or are there some other benefits also?
No. So as I said, the areas where we do not have the capacities, or which is fast growing focus areas for us, we continue. We are not taking a private label business in those segments. It's the areas where we have some spare capacity, where we can utilize and sweat the assets more. That is where we are doing this. And these businesses are still at a good 30-35% margin for us.
Okay. Okay, so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Das for closing comments.
Thank you all for joining the Q4 FY21 earnings call of ADF Foods. For any further queries, please get in touch with us at Pareto Capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ADF Foods Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.